Hey YouTube, Andrew here. So as you guys can see, I'm about to bring you all my V Premium Amon deck profile. So I know there's a pretty good chance that V Premium V Premium will eventually die out. But for as long as it's at least somewhat relevant, I want to upload two V Series deck profiles that I just haven't thought about uploading. A while after I upload my Amon deck profile, I will be profiling a Tachikaze V Premium deck for my channel, and specifically for Anger Blader. Anyways, on to my Amon deck profile. Deck is honestly really fun. I never wanted to get competitive with this deck, but I got it because it was cheap and I like Amon for his effect and his design. Starting off, your typical V starter. Badass looking starter, by the way. Now for your triggers. Starting off, we have 3 draw PGs. I think 3 is a pretty balanced number of draw PGs for this deck. Because Amon is a pretty straightforward deck. And soul charges a lot as well. Having 3 makes it more likely for you to be able to defend and less likely for you to be able to deck out. Next up, 4 heals. 3 of the effect heal, 1 of the vanilla heal. Grade 3 heals are obviously for the early game, and for a deck like Amon, I want to have at least a little bit of extra defense. In V Premium, I typically tend to run 1 or 2 20k shields so that I can have some extra defense under my belt. Next up, 9 crit. 30k crits can be handy, and my biggest reason for running crits is to help apply more pressure. Because with Amon, you want to kill your opponent, you pretty much want to kill your opponent as quickly as possible. Now for grade 1s. Starting off, we have 3 Fuge Jinlin. In my opinion, Fuge Jinlin's one of the best grade 1 DI units. Not only is it good for Amon, it's also good for other DI decks based on builds I've seen of them. Like I've seen Shaharad and I think Bladewing use it. Next up, 2 Dimension Creeper. Depending on which DI deck you're playing, this guy is most certainly a staple at 2 to 4. Definitely don't run this guy at 1, but I think 2 to 4 are good numbers for this deck. For Amon, I personally think 2 because you soul charge with the deck too much already. Next up, 4 Succubus of Pure Love. Now I don't particularly think this card's mandatory for Amon, but it's still pretty helpful. Because in case you don't get Amon, you will want it in your hand. And finally, 4 copies of, in my opinion, the best grade 1 in this deck. 4 Artaxious Blow. This card is amazing. For those of you that don't know about Artaxious Blow, his skill is when placed on Vanguard, check the top 7 cards of your deck for a grade 3 Amon unit and add it to your hand. And he has an act rearguard skill that says tap this card, Soul Charge 1, then choose one of your Amon units, and it gets plus 1,000, and it gets plus 1,000 power for every card in your soul for the rest of the turn. Seriously, this guy is amazing. He's an Amon searcher with a broken attrition effect. Next up for grade 2s, 2 Demonted Executioner. When he's played Executioner, solid soul charger for the deck. Definitely, I've seen Shaharat decks run it too, so I think it's really good in both decks. Next up for Fujinlin, solid soul charger and early game defender for the deck. And next up, 3 copies of Soul Sucker. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Soul Sucker, his skills are when wrote upon by a card with Amon in its name, Soul Charge 3, and his rearguard skill is when it attacks, you counterblast 1, soul charge 1, then he gets plus 5,000 power till the end of the battle. And if you have a vanguard with Amon in its card name, and your soul has 6 or more cards, put Soul Sucker in soul and draw 1 card. Now for grade 3s. The king of this deck, Demon World Marquis Amon. This guy's skill is actually kind of busted. And in my opinion, it's actually a solid first ride for... Not only is he the reason why the pure Amon deck is so straightforward, in my opinion, he's also a good first grade 3 ride in Shaharat. Not gonna lie, I actually do want to build Shaharat at some point. I'm just waiting till I can afford to. Till there's a time I can really afford to. Next up, 3 Number of Terror. This guy, I strongly recommend you either play at 3 or 4. He's just really consistent, and his draw power effect, like, he's just one of the most helpful cards in the whole deck. And finally, 2 copies of arguably one of the most powerful cards in the whole game. 2 copies of Hope on Deck. When this unit is placed, if your soul has 20 or more cards, until the end of the turn, when your opponent would call from hand to Guardian Circle, she must call their total original being 20,000 at the same time. Meaning, if you had to guard against him, you can't perfect guard it, and it has to at least be 20,000 shield. So this guy, in a sense, makes it impossible for the opponent to guard against. And if you choose to guard, you have to throw cards from your hand all at once, instead of taking your time with what you want to guard with. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you all liked it. Please like and subscribe for more content, and I'll keep on bringing more. And have a nice day, y'all. See ya.